Hi everybody, I'm Anjanette and I'm here to review your syllabus with you. We are in a short-term online class for human development and it's going to go very quickly. So if you log into our Blackboard shell, that is in fact our course classroom, and you'll find a course menu along the left side of your computer and you'll have a section for the syllabus. So if you want to open that up and follow along with me, that'd be great. But you're going to find our section numbers up here. Also, when you sign into Blackboard, it should identify the section number for the class. I have two different section numbers for the same class. So you check your section number on Blackboard, and then anytime you email me, please make sure that section number is inside the subject line so that I can make sure I'm organizing and responding to my email appropriately. So I start out in this syllabus. You'll recognize a banner that's very familiar. It's the same one that's incorporated into our Blackboard shell. A little bit about me and my contact information. I do teach face-to-face on the Menifee campus, so please feel free to come by and visit me during office hours, or if those times don't work for you, reach out, let me know, and I'm happy to schedule an alternative time. A little bit about my teaching philosophy. I very much subscribe to Vygotsky, and you'll learn about Vygotsky's principles throughout the course. But I do believe in establishing really strong connections with students. I believe I'm here to support you both in and outside the classroom. I want to help you achieve your goals and be successful in life and in the class. So hopefully I'm breaking information down for you in understandable pieces. I'm giving you a clear, organized structure so that you can succeed. I want to give you important feedback so that you can grow and master the concepts going forward. And then I also want to help to just be there to mentor you moving forward. So my door's always open. I hope that message comes across clearly. Please never feel uncomfortable reaching out to me because I truly, truly do support you. I am one of you. I'm a lifelong student myself, and I am a community college graduate myself, and so I really do believe in the process, and I am here to help mentor you in any way that I can. We are going to be using Jeffrey Arnett's textbook, which is Human Development, a Cultural Approach. There is a newer edition, but I say we might as well stick to the earlier edition and save the money because usually the newer editions are much more expensive and you don't have used copies available or as accessible. So please feel free to reach out on Amazon and find the newer edition. And then we're going to be looking at how people change over time. Physically, cognitively, socially, and emotionally. We call those developmental domains. And we're going to look at how they change over time, covering the different developmental periods from conception through death. So this class is what we call the womb to tomb class. It's really looking at from the moment we're conceived to the moment really we pass away and thereafter, because we do look at the grieving process. Different ways in which we think, how our bodies change, how our memories change, and how our relationships change, and how we change psychologically. So we will be exploring different theories and concepts that cover the range of those changes and growth over time. Most people are primarily focused on how do I get my grade, and so you do have some introductory activities that you have to do in that first week, including a syllabus quiz and 2 blogs. And those are really just to help you get to know one another, help you get to know the course, how to familiarize yourself with submitting the technical requirements of the course. You do have what I call text assignments. Text assignments are assignments I've developed. They're questions that I've formulated that you will use. Basically, when you're doing your reading, you'll take notes and answer these questions so that your reading is meaningful. You're coming away from your reading with some core content knowledge, and then those will serve as your study guides for the exams. Additionally, you're going to have learning activities, which will all be in the form of a blog, and those are meant to dive deeper into a concept or theory related to that developmental period. And so I want you to really practice critical thinking in those activities, truly connect the dots. They aren't meant to be 2-minute assignments. They really are meant for you to reflect on what you've learned, reflect on the concept at hand, and really provide a thorough understanding of that concept. Additionally, I do teach the course in what I call modules. And so chapters are grouped together typically because they're related developmental periods. So we will go chronologically through the lifespan. And then so each chapter has a text assignment and a learning activity. So there's 13 chapters. Those are worth 10 points each. So it's 130 total points for text assignments, 130 for learning activities. Then at the end of each module, which is 2 or more chapters, it is an exam. There's an exam, and those are all done through Blackboard, so you don't have to stress about that. They're pretty straightforward, and again, your text assignment is your study guide. So do your best to make sure you have a thorough text assignment, but I will let you know those are graded on a credit, no credit basis. I do not judge them in terms of evaluating this as an A, B, or C. If you've done them, then I give you the points. I just make sure that you're on point in topic, you're not talking about Daffy Duck, and ultimately you add more depth. That's a direct correlation with your exam score. So the people that do really thorough text assignments are the ones that easily get A's on the exams. The people that have just really 1 or 2 words per question and just kind of do a scantily job on the text assignments just to get the points, you're hurting yourself, because those are the people that typically don't fare as well on the exams. So do keep that in mind. But that being said, I know you're balancing things in life and other classes, and I get that sometimes you don't have the time to be as thorough on a text assignment. Maybe you'll fill in the gaps a little bit later, and I'm okay with that too. You make the choices that are best for you based on everything you have going on in your life, okay? So that being said, the very first week we're doing just 1 chapter. That's your introductory chapter. It's going to go over different population trends, developed versus developing countries. You're going to learn some key concepts and theories, and you're going to learn a little bit about some research methodology that applies specifically to developmental psychology. Then the next module, we're going to, keep in mind, because this is an 8-week class, we move very quickly. So on average, you'll be covering 2 chapters a week, and that's pretty extensive. So keep that in mind. Oh, this is an error. You're actually doing, excuse me, I'll fix this right now. You're actually doing chapters 2 and 3 in this module, and then you're doing chapter 1 in this module. So I'll fix that for you. So that being said, we're going to do prenatal and neonatal development together. We're going to do infancy and toddlerhood together. Childhood, which will include early and middle, early being preschool, middle being elementary. Adolescence and emerging adulthood, which is in your teens and very early 20s. And then early and middle adulthood, which is, in your 20s, 30s, and then moving into your 40s, 50s through 65. Late adulthood is going to be 65 plus. You'll see that we break that out, break that down as well. And then we're going to cover death, including kind of some principles around death and dying and euthanasia, and we'll learn a little bit about power of attorney, long-term care, things of that nature that could be valuable for you, not only as you're aging, things to think about for yourself, but also if you're going to be caring for a parent or a grandparent, then that information can be valuable as well. You will have a comprehensive final at the end of the course, which will be worth 100 points. It's primarily theory-based, so it's really important that you pay good attention to your theories, because they will come up again in the final, and they are key concepts and ideas that you should walk away from this class with. That being said, developmental psych is my expertise, and so the theories are some of my favorite in all of psychology, and I think they're instrumentally valuable as parents, as aunts, uncles, even, in your profession as a teacher or nurse, or anything in the medical field, anything in which you're interacting with children. I think you'll find our theories to be most valuable in preparing you with a better understanding and a knowledge base. Okay, so I will have due dates typically. I'll go over this in a course orientation, but typically your first text assignment for the first chapter will be due Wednesday, learning activity Thursday, second chapter text assignment Friday, learning activity Saturday, and then typically your module exam on Sunday. And that's typically how I do things. If you need, more time, I tend to be very flexible. Don't stress too much. I do care that they're in. If I see that you're consistently missing assignments, I will send emails on occasion. But ultimately, I need you to take ownership. Since this is a short-term class, I need you to be, dive in and go full barrel forward, and then try to keep on track as best as possible, because we are moving so quickly. When you do fall behind, it really hurts to get caught up. So I just want to give you that heads up. Also know that you really can't get an A in the class by missing any of these activities. So make sure you're actively participating in all of them so that you can get the most out of the class. So goals, objectives, we do have objectives that are beyond the classroom. So you'll learn this stuff through the classroom, but also think about, as you're interacting with your colleagues, how to effectively communicate. Make sure you're demonstrating critical thinking in our activities. And I want you to be mindful as you're taking in this additional knowledge of what it means to live in developing countries. Have a global awareness, develop an appreciation for other cultures. That's my favorite thing about this textbook, because I want you to recognize, where you have things for which to be grateful and where other people may have areas that are lacking. And do your best to learn how to appreciate that diversity and those struggles that other people are going through. Do your best to be supportive, and do your best to be an advocate for yourself, for your family, and also for your community, both locally and globally. And then, this is an online class, so great opportunity to learn how to access information, filter that information, and then apply it in an appropriate way. And so I also think it's really important that things be aesthetically pleasing. I try to give you visuals, both in your syllabus, in your Blackboard shell, in your blogs. So do the same for me. Make sure you add that additional quality and time in the work that you submit. There's value in it being visually appealing and organized well, because it helps to organize it in our mind as well. So please consider that. Let me get rid of that Facebook notice. So, sorry, bear with me just a second. Okay, moving on. Introductory activities, you're going to have 3. You're going to have a syllabus quiz. You're also going to have an avatar blog. I do want you to upload an image in Blackboard that represents you. It can be an actual picture or selfie or whatever you want, but it can actually be, a character or a cartoon or something of that nature, but something where I can put a visual to a name. And we can kind of get to know each other a little bit better. You're also going to have a workspace blog. I do want you to take a picture of your workspace and get a feel for where we're all going to class each day, and that's at our computers. But you're not in class with a computer, you're in class with other human beings. You have a human being as an instructor, and so I want you to be mindful of that, and I want you to feel connected with one another. So going into depth on the different assignments that have point value in the class. And then also know that you do have an opportunity to do an empirical article critique for extra credit. I'm happy to take that. Additionally, I'll post assignments, or I'll post events happening on campus for extra credit. And here's your guidelines for that. I do need it by November 7th, so I have time to grade that and build that in. I already mentioned exams. Really important that you talk to enrollment services or check the calendar for appropriate dates, so that you don't want to miss an opportunity to get through right at the skin of your teeth. So for an important deadline, it can hurt your transcripts if you miss deadlines. So make sure you're paying attention to those things. And then I'm going to stop there and come back and give you some tips on communicating with me and going through some other resources and policies. Okay, I'll be back.